Welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway for round number 6 of the Full Throttle Sim Racing Darkmatter Designs Cup Series, located just 20 miles south of Atlanta, Georgia, in a little town called Hampton, Georgia. We are here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, one of the pinnacle and most look forward to events on the calendar, known for its slick racing, its slick track, and the hard eating of the tires this track does. I am joined in the booth tonight by Mr. Chris Speer. Glad to have him back out here. Chris, it's going to be an entertaining race. It's going to be a challenging race for these drivers, a track that we haven't seen on the schedule yet, and these guys are in for a very long night.
Absolutely, Jared. It is definitely a tough track, and it's a tough changing track. As the race goes on, these guys are going to have to deal with the way that the track changes, where the grip is going to move up the track, down the track. Who knows at this point? It depends on the lines that these drivers take early on in the race.
Exactly right. Apologize for the little bit of hiccup there at the intro. Battling the hiccups right now, but we're going to get through it. Let's go ahead and take a look at our race info here tonight, and you'll see it for the GT Performance 250. It is a balmy 84 degrees here in March at Atlanta Motor Speedway. That means 105-degree track temperature, Chris. That means something you talked about at the very intro there. This track is going to change a lot, but it's going to start off hot for these drivers in the beginning.
Absolutely. It's going to start off hot, and it's only going to get more hot as these drivers are on the track. The longer green flag laps we have here, the bigger impact this track will have on the way that these cars handle. It'll certainly make for some very tight handling cars later on in the run. Just like in the real life cup cars, we'll see who can handle that best going through a long green flag run.
Exactly right. Other things to take into consideration is there is a northwest wind coming out of the at 6 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour. It's fluctuating a little bit here. That means these drivers are going to get a tailwind coming out of 3 and 4 and a headwind coming into 1 and 2. So these, handling differences, Chris, are going to be pretty extreme for this track here tonight.
Certainly, with that win going into 1 and 2, you're going to have the feeling that the car is lighter, which often means that you're going to feel a little bit more loose going to that corner than your car actually is.
Yeah, exactly right. And on the flip side, a little bit tighter over there in 3 and 4 tonight. Something to keep an eye on here as we head in to the race. Let's go ahead and take a look at our championship standings here. Mr. Terry Cooper Jr. leading the points. And Chris, we saw it last week. He dominated at Phoenix Speedway and then just came up a little short at the end. Ill-timed caution. He was a long-run driver. Just couldn't get it done on that last short run we had.
Yep, it happens to the best of us. So you can dominate a race and still not bring home the victory. But there were some guys that actually benefited from it, including their number 2 in points, Bobby Terrell.
Yeah, Bobby had a great top 5 finish. Finished 3rd in that event, just behind Terry Cooper. And Dale Nearad, the rookie, grabbing himself his first career FTSR win in the Cup Series. And we look at the points. 5 different winners in 5 races, Chris. Tonight's number 6. Going into Atlanta, we've had 3 different winners in 3 races. And to add to that, none of the former race winners are here tonight. So that means we're going to have a 4th different winner at Atlanta Motor Speedway. But Chris, can we have our 6th different winner in 6 races here to begin the season in the Cup Series?
Well, it seems like we're going to have to mimic the real-life NASCAR series to be able to do so, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility here at Atlanta. Everyone's got a tough decisions to make throughout this long race, and we'll see what actually happens for these drivers.
Exactly right. As you see on the standings there, yellow means that these drivers have won a race and potentially locked in. In order to be locked in, they're going to have to finish in the top 25 of points. So that excludes Mr. Brandon Elder, who did win at Daytona, but he is not currently locked in. Now, he is moving into a different vehicle tonight. He's going to be driving the 84. Same team, but he's going to be moving over to a part-time job in the 84 machine, and that's the 51 machine. The car that won to start the season off this year is going to be replaced, and Josh Mayu, who has made a great debut in the Xfinity Series on Thursdays, he is going to be racing here tonight, making his Cup Series debut. He's currently 22nd on the board.
It's certainly a tough track to just hop on in. Luckily for our iRacers here tonight, they actually get an opportunity to practice beforehand, unlike in the real world where you just jump right in, Jared.
Yeah, that is one thing that we have the advantage of on the sim platform. Even if we said there's no practice here tonight in the Cup Series, these guys would still have an opportunity to practice and get some laps under their belt before just jumping onto the track, because those real-life guys, it's a little bit daunting, I'm sure, for some of them. But we look at the times right now. A lot of pole runs going on with less than a minute left here in practice. Dean Doucette at the top of the board. Tim Bills second on the board. And, Chris, we talked about it last week a little bit. And again, this week is looking the same way. There are 45 drivers for 40 slots. That's going to make it really difficult for these guys. And who's going to go home tonight?
Certainly puts on a lot of pressure for those teams that are not going to be able to make it next week. You never want to see anyone go home, because everyone here is working as their hardest to be able to make it into the field tonight. But we know that that's not going to happen for 5 tonight.
5 drivers here tonight will not make the event. But we look at the race analysis real quick here as practice coming to an end. This track was opened in 1960. It was originally kind of like Homestead, and then they reconfigured it in 1997 for the fall event here to its current day formula of kind of a Charlotte Motor Speedway clone. And in my opinion, some of the best NASCAR races happened here. I mean, you had the Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson race. You had the Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon race. You had the Dale Earnhardt, Bobby Labonte race. The list goes on, and Atlanta Motor Speedway has been home to some of the best races, in my opinion, in NASCAR history. Banking 24 degrees. Tonight's race, 163 laps. That's 251 miles, because this track is 1.54 miles, not exactly 1.5 miles. And last year's winner was Chris Tate, and he is not in the race tonight. So we will have a new winner here tonight, as we talked about earlier, as we have some drivers out on the track for qualifying.
Jared, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed you forgot the number 29 of Kevin Harvick's first win here.
I thought I said Harvick and Jeff Gordon.
Oh, did you? Must have missed it, but that is one of the races here that stands out in my mind. If had it been about another 100 feet, I think Jeff Gordon would have beat Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, that was a crazy race. If I didn't mention it, that's shame on me for sure, because that was one of the best finishes in NASCAR history, let alone Atlanta Motor Speedway history. And Chris, you know, I have to say right now, qualifying starting, and it looks like a gigantic cloud has moved across the track.
Well, that's certainly going to help because we know that when you put 100% tape on these cars, they get extremely loose. So that cloud cover is actually going to help them to tighten up. So our speeds here might actually be faster than what we saw in the practice beforehand, Jared.
That's a good point. Now, we did check on the weather. It's 107 track temps, so still, even with that cloud cover, it's still not too cool on the guys out there on the track right now. As we bring up our qualifying board, right now, it looks like Bobby Terrell is at the top of the board. Now it's Wayne Grossi. So Wayne Grossi and Bernard Purcell. And Chris, you have to tell me, but they look to be tied.
They're tight on my end, down to the 10,000th.
And it is tied to the 10,000th. And then we throw Matt Geringer in there. So we have three drivers at the same time, but they continue to come in. And Case McMullen's going to put it on the pole. John Held nearly got there. Terry Cooper gets the pole. And this thing is not going to end too quickly as everybody's still putting in big laps. Brian Helm to the top of the board.
That board is just going to keep changing and keep changing. That's one of the fun things about iRacing is that even though it's solo qualifying, all of us are out there at the exact same time qualifying. So that board changes really quick all throughout the qualifying session.
Unbelievable. Richie Coy on the top of the board. Bobby Terrell goes fourth quickest. We still got a couple more drivers out here racing around. James Torrey out there trying to get in the field. He has yet to make a Cup Series event this year. Can he get it done tonight? This could be huge for him. He's got a good run going through turn 3 and 4, but he's out the back end. And he's going to get... I think he's going to get in tonight. I think James Torrey's going to get in tonight. 14th quickest. And he blows it up.
Hey, it's okay to blow it up in iRacing after you cross the finish line in qualifying. You get a whole new car to start the race.
Exactly right. We look in on Josh Mayhew making his debut. Just now taking his first laps. Josh, known him for a while, raced in one of our other broadcasted leagues we did over at Elite Sim Racing Association on their Sunday night series. Josh, great guy there, and glad to see him out here tonight racing in the Cup Series. Let's see what he can do as we got more lap times coming in as this qualifying session's almost exciting as the race.
Absolutely, and honestly, I don't know that anyone's going to top our pole sitter currently, Richie Coy. That was a blazing fast lap.
Yeah, you're talking about 6 drivers in the sub-5s and multiple ties. I mean, I can't go through all of them, but there are at least 3 different drivers tied in the list there. So this is insanity tonight. Tim Bills goes up to 5th on the board. He was pretty close there. Actually, he's got no, he doesn't have one more lap. Apologies there. Rachel Hunt's done with her lap. Randall Ballard done with his lap. Mayhew's done, and it looks like we're just waiting on Jeff Winter to do his lap. So 6 drivers looking to go home tonight.
It's interesting to look at the qualifying times because actually from what we ran in practice, the times are pretty similar. It's about a 10th quicker overall. But the people that are on the top of the board from practice are not on the top of the board in qualifying tonight.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dean Doucette, 2-time champion, he's back in 39th. And we'll have to see how this all sorts out as far as, you know, who's going home and who's not. But Jeff Winter, who just got in the server, he is locked in the race. So we know he's going to be in here, and that's going to put another driver out. So it's looking like Tony Soler, Paul Sargent, Roy Collins, Donnie Staubitz, and potentially Gil Gach will be the drivers going home.
We certainly hate to see that, but you know that they've worked hard to be here and to try to time their way in. And that's why all these positions matter week to week because you're only guaranteed a spot if you're in I believe it's the top 20 in points.
Exactly right. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have the starting grid here for the GT Performance 250. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, where qualifying has just concluded here tonight. 46 drivers showed up, 40 drivers make it. We're going to be sending home, unfortunately, Paul Sargent, Gil Gock, Jeff Bratton, Rory Collins, and also Donnie Staubitz, all going home tonight. Unfortunate for those guys, especially Donnie Staubitz, who was just in the top 20 points last week and then had a bad wreck at the beginning of that race, and it's really kind of hurt him as far as getting in the race here tonight.
It's certainly painful to see someone have to go home, especially someone that was so close to being in the top 20 in points. But that's what will happen with a bad night. So these guys that are in the race tonight will be struggling that much harder to make sure that they don't lose any positions in the points.
Exactly right. And we're going to go ahead and get into our starting grid here. And Richie Coy gets on the pole with a lap of 29.475. Brian Helm alongside 4 thousandths off there. Looking on row number 2 here, we have Randy McCanny and Bobby Terrell. Row number 3, we have Tim Bills and Terry Cooper Jr. Row 4, John Held and Case McMullen. And rounding out our top 10 tonight, Chris, Matt Geringer and Rachel Hunt.
Starting in our 11th position, sorry, my scoring and timing is still getting settled in here. It looks like we're going to have Tracy Powers starting in 11th. Rachel Hunt is, well, hold on a second, it's still updating here on me.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and just run through this. So row 6, we got David Hensley and Wayne Grossi, it looks like here. Moving back to row 7, we got Tracy Powers and Ralph Nolan. Row 8, Jeff Winter and Bernard Person. Row 9, we have Lane Allen, James Torrey, and then rounding out our top 20, Ronnie Royal and Randall Ballard.
21st is going to be Brian Bliss. 22nd going to be Stephen Loomis. Dale Nearad, our last week's winner, is going to bring it home in 23rd. 24th will be Rob Shoemaker. 25th is going to be Brad Patterson. Chris Beck will be 26th. 27th will be Sherwood Wilford. 28th will be Kevin Rupert. And Stephen Ruman will be 29th. Kenneth Schultz will be 30th. 31st will be Chad Lang. Jared Daniels will be 32nd. 33rd will be Josh Mayhew. Andrew Policy will be 34th. 35th is Jason Speer. Zach Daniel will be 36th.
And then rounding out our final 4 positions, Brandon Elder returning to the series after taking a couple weeks off. He'll start 37th. He's going to get in on the championship provisional. Dean Doucette will start 38th. Troy Torgerson 39th. And Bill Benedict will be the last driver in the field tonight in 40th position. So here we go. These guys getting ready, and intense qualifying round here tonight. I have to say, one of the most intense that I've seen this season, because the times are just shifting so much. But we have a Ford, a Toyota, a Ford, a Chevy, a Chevy, a Chevy in our top 6 drivers here as the pace car is going to make its way off turn number 4, and we're about ready to start the GT Performance 250 live from Hotlanta here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Pace car makes the turn. Richie Coy, Brian Helm will lead him down. Green flag is out, and we are underway for the GT Performance 250 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Good start by our top 2 as they're about equal going into turn 1. It looks like Richie Coy will actually pull away going into the corner.
Richie Coy pulling out to a little bit of a lead here. Randy McCanny slides up in front of Brian Helm. So the 2 de facto teammates up into the 1st and 2nd, but don't look now. Tim Bills heading underneath into turn 3.
Tim Bills knows. Oh man, going 3 wide this early on with the cars being loose is definitely scary, but it looks like the 77, 6, and 25 are going to make it through there.
Brian Helm, McCanny, and Bills 3 wide there at the start of that race, and that's always a precarious position for every driver when everybody gets 3 wide there, but that's allowed Richie Coy to kind of open up a little bit of a gap there as Tim Bills and Brian Helm battle for 2nd.
It's definitely helping Richie Coy that our 2nd and 3rd place contenders are side by side as he's able to manage the gap between them and actually try his best to pull away here early on.
Switch back and get a little bit better view here. Looking a little bit further back, Tim Bills, Case McMullen battling with Bobby Terrell. And we've got Terry Cooper Jr., our 2-point leaders there, thick in the battle here. But Chris, it looks like this field's kind of already gotten to a point where they've settled out into a single file rhythm.
It certainly looks like they have. They all know going into it that they need to be able to get a feel for their car going in. And the best way to do that is to actually file in one behind each other. But we got a battle for the lead, Jared.
Richie Coy on the inside. Brian Helm going to take the outside. And Tim Bills is going to take, I think, the outside. Yeah, he's going to go up there as well. So we got 2 on the outside against 1 on the inside. And they're going to get that massive run off of the turn because, Chris, it's kind of almost downhill when you come off turn 2 and turn 4 here tonight. But Richie Coy does a good job battling back on the inside.
He certainly does. The momentum is going to be shifted into the 26 and 77 hands as Coy and Bills Helms and Bills are going to make their way around our leader.
So Brian Helm up to the lead. He'll take his first laps and get that crucial bonus point here tonight. Bills battling with Richie Coy now as Coy's starting to drop a little bit back. He's going to let these guys go and save the battling for a little bit later on in the race as the top 2 switch positions here. Brian Helm running all the way up against that wall in 3 and 4, Chris.
This is a multi-groove track, and they're definitely showing it here early on tonight. No worries for Richie Coy, as we know that this is a long race, and this is just the beginning of what will probably be a long run for these guys.
6 laps in the books. We look a little bit further back. Richie Coy moving up the track a little bit. John Held, who made a great qualifying. I want to give a shout out as we have Rachel Hunt get loose off the turn, and looks like she's able to save it. She's got that thing under the ground, off the track on the low side. That car looks like she's got some damage on the right front of it. She's getting it going now, but that's not good for Rachel Hunt.
No, it's certainly not. It's something that she was definitely not looking forward to happen, but we knew that going into it that these cars need to be loose on the beginning of a run. And for right then, it was just a little too much too soon for her. It looked like she clipped the outside wall, actually. So she might have actually been tight.
Yeah, so it looks like she did hit the wall. She's going to drop all the way back to 39th place. Her teammate, Steven Vrooman, is the last driver in the pack right now, just behind her. So he's going to give a little bit of support there and let her kind of sort her stuff out. But that is a tough break for Rachel Hunt as she drops all the way from inside the top 15 to 39th position on the track.
That's certainly a big blow for her, but let's not count her out yet. It's still an early on into the race, and we never know how much damage she actually had from that, because it doesn't look like she actually hit it that bad.
There was a little bit of crinkle on the right front there, but we will see how that transpires. We look a little bit further through the pack. Bobby Terrell, who had a great run last week at Phoenix, up in the top 5 again. But we got to give a shout out to another guy. We're talking about John Held. Matt Geringer making his 2nd race of the season here in the Cup Series. Part-time driver, and he is doing a great job up inside the top 10, running 8th. And I have to point him out because he was a former teammate of mine, number 1. But number 2, I love the Dave Blaney throwback.
And it certainly is a beautiful car. That number 11 is up into position number 8 right now, making his way up. It definitely seems like he has a pretty well-handling car as we follow him through these couple of laps.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Chris, you seem to be a NASCAR historian, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Dave Blaney was leading here at Atlanta maybe in 2000, 2001-ish, and lost a rear tire on a pit stop.
That is correct. It's definitely a track known for tire issues, especially now. It was bad then, now it's even worse. So it'll be interesting to see how much that bad luck will haunt Matt tonight, but hopefully not so much.
We got somebody up in the wall. Looks like Zach McDaniel. And looks like he is able to get that car off the track, but see if we can get a quick replay on what happened to Zach McDaniel. Oh, it looks like somebody got loose in front of him. That is the 91 of Kevin Rupert. Dean Doucette's involved, and this is going to stay green, and Dean Doucette got in the grass, tried to stay off of him, and just clips him and turns him around. But we're going to stay green here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Kind of unfortunate for those drivers as Zach McDaniel had to make a pit stop and get going. Dean Doucette with some damage as well.
Yeah, it looked like the 42 car of Zach McDaniel actually was having a little bit of connection issues, and actually he disappeared on my end, so maybe that might have played into it a little bit as well.
And that could have very well been it. It looked like Kevin, and that could have been what happened why he got some contact there, was because of that connection issue with Kenneth Schultz, not Kevin Rupert. Quick correction there, the 91. But that is a tough break for those guys. Already see Zach McDaniel on the bottom of the track as he is trying to get that car going again, and also not be in the way of the leaders.
It's a long race, and it's going to be made even longer if you're having to ride around the bottom there all race long. So it's hopeful. At this point, you know that all that they're hoping for is for a caution, so that way we can actually get some repairs made to that vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. And he might be just feeling out his car to see if it's going to be up to speed. You know, you don't want to be running around there at 140 miles an hour while everybody else is running 190.
Absolutely. You don't want to be in anyone's way. You don't want to cause any more trouble for yourself this early in the race.
We'll look back at some battles here. Randy McCanney, Bobby Terrell. Bobby Terrell gets around him. Casey Mullen moving to the high side. Our second place in points man. Trying to make a move up to the front of the pack, but right now just up one position. And Chris, we take a look at our big movers. We got a couple of them. Mr. Brandon Elder driving the number 84. Same sponsor as always, but different number for Mr. Brandon Elder, our Daytona winner. He is up 11 spots. Just behind him is Troy Torgerson in 28th. Mr. Torgerson with that awesome cowboy hat there. He is up 11 spots from starting 39th. So those two guys making a run to the front, Chris.
Certainly 11 positions plus for both of them. That's definitely a big jump from the start of this race, and we're only on, what is it, lap 16 of this race? So that's a huge amount of positions in such a short amount of time.
Torgerson getting a little bit loose, battling with Chris Beck in that. I love that paint as well because it reflects. But if the sun hits it, even on the replay, it can be a little bit blinding. So that's Chris Beck just in front of him. Driver going backwards the wrong direction, Randall Ballard. He started 20th. He has dropped to 32nd. Chris, is that one of those things when you see a guy that's dropping through the field, is it a situation where he's maybe got that car set up maybe for a long run, or maybe he's set up for a short run and that car is just losing grip?
It could be that the issue they have is they had a great qualifying setup, but not such a good race setup. That's one thing that's really difficult here. Qualifying setups are a little bit more interchangeable for these 1.5 milers, but the race setups may not always be so, especially at a track like Atlanta where tires can fall off so quickly here.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about it, Chris, and something you brought up at the beginning of this race was the fact that this tire fall off is huge at Atlanta. You know, it reminds me of Rockingham Motor Speedway, or North Carolina Motor Speedway as it was known back then. It had not been repaid for 30 or 40 years, and that track would eat tires. Darlington used to eat tires, and now Atlanta's kind of taken over that moniker, that and Dover, as far as being very difficult on tires.
And certainly, we actually have Brian Helm that is falling back through the pack really quickly here. Oh, nope, that is not true. It looks like my scoring just got mixed up there for a second.
Yeah, and it looked like he might have had a connection drop for a second there, and which indicated that he was dropping back. But right now, Tim Bills and Brian Helm continuing to battle it out. Good to see Tim Bills doing good here. He finally got his truck season on track earlier this week here at Atlanta, and he's having his best performance in the Cup Series, I think, in his FTSR career. So he's doing a very good job in second place. But this top two kind of checking out from Richie Coy, who now has some company from Bobby Terrell and Case McMullen.
It's very interesting to see. Our top two seem to be a pack. Our third and fourth place contenders seem to be their own pack, and fifth and sixth seem to be their own pack as well. It's certainly interesting to see because they're still grouped together, but they're spreading themselves farther and farther apart. I mean, it's only a tenth and then about 0.2 of a second between our top two, and it's a really tight battle. You definitely know that Brian Helm is not giving any. He's not saving. He can't. He's got Tim Bills right behind him and on his tail.
Yeah, Tim Bills working on the bottom side there. And Chris, you know, we're 21 laps into this race, but I don't think it's ever too early to talk about pit strategy. These guys can get 65 laps on fuel tonight. Do you think anybody's going to stretch the fuel, or do you think they're going to try to break this thing up into 2 pit stops around lap 50 because they're going to have to make at least 2 pit stops on this race tonight?
I certainly don't think that they're going to try to make it to stretch it out. I mean, it seems like a difficult track even to split it at 50. I know that personally, I would want him to be pitting as soon as possible. So anywhere after lap 30, these guys are going to be hoping for a caution so they can get some new tires.
So far, so good. This series, coming into Phoenix last week, only one caution came on like really early. I want to say it was lap 15 at Daytona, and it's been green since then until Phoenix. Phoenix had 7 cautions, but tonight they're back to where they used to be. Caution free so far, 23 laps in. Hopefully, we just didn't curse that right now. But Bobby Terrell has been able to clear Richie Coy, and he is starting to make a little bit of a gain on Tim Bills.
Well, that's actually what we saw out of him last week. He seemed to have the long run car. So it seems like he set it up that way again. But that's actually what we kind of expected from these cars. We knew that they like to go these long green flag runs with these guys. They've had few cautions up until last week, as you just mentioned. I'd set my car up for a long run because I would assume that that's what's going to happen.
Look at Bobby Terrell, 180 miles an hour into the corner, looking back out the back to Case McMullen, Richie Coy, Terry Cooper Jr., down to 163 miles an hour. But that car, Chris, on board with him, it just seems very stable right now.
And that's all you can hope for out of these cars, is to make them as stable as possible. While we were talking about Bobby, you had a side-by-side battle for the lead, but it still didn't matter. Brian Helm was able to pull back in front of Tim Bills.
And that's what we've been seeing all night between these two drivers here tonight. It just seems like the bottom side just doesn't have quite the oomph it needs to get around right now.
You certainly can. You don't have the drive off of the corner. You may have the drive into the corner, but you're not going to have the drive off because you're already so much in the throttle on that high side that you are wasting too much of the throttle time on that bottom groove. And you can see that Tim Bills is actually trying to work his way into the middle groove to try to make that gap a little bit less.
Yeah, you know, and it's really interesting watching these two guys go at it here because Tim Bills, you know, you run the bottom side, you're able to get such a run through the middle of the corner, but just right here, it just, you know, you can't swing all the way out to the wall. Brian Helm's got that covered.
He does, but he's not the only one, because as these two end up getting side by side, we know who's coming. Bobby is trying his best to close in on these two.
Bobby Terrell, he has an opportunity tonight to sweep the FTSR week at Atlanta. He won Wednesday night in the Truck Series. He won Thursday night in the Xfinity Series. If he can get it done tonight, I don't have all the statistics, but it'd be one of the few, if not the only, sweep of a weekend at FTSR if he can get it done tonight.
That would be an incredible feat. Looking actually at the lap times and top speeds, he was actually the last lap 2 miles an hour faster than our leader.
You see that gap on our time delta here. It has come down from 1.1 or 1.3 to 1.2. So Bobby Terrell is starting to make a move toward the front of these guys. And that could be just, Chris, those guys battling, or is Bobby Terrell's car coming in?
Yeah, it's hard to tell at this point in the race because these two up front are obviously not doing anything to help themselves because they're within almost 100th of each other coming to the line just that lap.
Brian Helm, it looked like Tim Bills actually got around him there, and Tim Bills did. Brian Helm got a little bit loose off turn 4, and Brian Helm is going to take a back seat to Tim Bills, who puts himself in the lead, so a third different leader, Tim Bills, on lap number 29.
Yeah, we talked about the high groove actually being able to get into the throttle a little bit sooner. Well, that isn't the case when you're already sideways coming out of the corner, and that's what actually was able to get Tim Bills around Brian Helm.
I do have word that Brandon Elder has gone on into the pits and made his pit stop. So Brandon Elder, early pit stop here, but you know, strategy can still work out for him. You see him in the background on the bottom of the track right now. Getting that car up to speed, but he may have had some damage on that machine from an earlier incident. But right now, Tim Bills taking over the lead, leading some of his first cup laps here, the former defending Truck Series champion. But in the meantime, Chris, it's allowed Bobby Terrell to get into this battle, and Case McMullen's also coming, and bring in Terry Cooper Jr. with him.
It's certainly a big battle that we have brewing up here. As these tires start to wear off, you're going to see drivers have to experiment with different lines to see what works better for them. It's interesting to see that our former leader, Brian Helm, has actually now moved about a groove down below the top there. It's almost like his car is getting a little bit tight, and he's trying to figure out a new way around this track.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We watch them. They're both actually in the middle groove here. And Chris, you know, this is another thing too. This is a high downforce, low horsepower package. Does part of this moving around? I mean, now we finally have it in iRacing, which I'm thankful for. It's been amazing to race on, been amazing to commentate on because it gives these guys a lot of options. But is there also that aero factor involved? We saw, you know, last year Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick at I believe that was Kansas, where they played the aero game, running different lines and kind of blocking each other that way.
And that's something that you can seriously do here. I mean, we saw it in the real life race yesterday. If you followed that, and you're able to see it a little bit here now, and it isn't really affecting our top three here because they're actually all taking a little bit different grooves as you see them go around a couple of cars. There's a car in the grass as they're passing them actually.
Steven Vrooman down in the grass, and he is way off the track. I'm not sure what happened to Steven Vrooman. But the 000 here, heavy damage on the back end of that machine. We saw Dean Doucette on the pavement as well.
I believe those two actually made some contact about a lap or so ago, Jared.
Let's see if we can get a quick replay here. So Vrooman is on the apron. Yeah, I don't see anything there, so I don't see anything contact, but he was on the apron and for some reason just was carrying too much speed on the bottom and looked like he was trying to take the road course route there.
Yeah, I actually think it happened even about a lap before that. Jared, if you go back, you might actually see that right there is actually a completely separate incident.
Gotcha. We'll try to get that a replay of that here in a little bit. But right now, back up front, it's Tim Bills starting to inch his way out from Brian Helm.
Yeah, he certainly opened up the gap there a little bit. It was definitely unexpected. I wasn't expecting Tim to be able to pull away like he has, but it's certainly helped out our third place car, Bobby Terrell, as he's making his way up real close to Brian and his number 5 car.
Yeah, Brian Helm and Bobby Terrell, Tim Bills, those guys have started to separate themselves from Casey Mullen. Another guy that's coming to the front, Jeff Winter. There's a big battle back here. We got Bernard Person, Richie Coy, and Brandon Elder, who's a lap down, all in this battle right here. So Brandon Elder on those fresh tires trying to get through. Jeff Winter clears Richie Coy, and now you got Bernard Person. Brandon Elder kind of in a bad spot there because he's got faster tires but doesn't want to get involved in the battle.
We actually talked about it earlier tonight. Troy Torgerson has actually made up 19 positions. He's up to the 20th position. That is an incredible run for him.
Troy Torgerson. Look at that guy making moves still. Up to 20th position, as Chris alluded to. Our other quick mover of the race has kind of fallen off. Well, that was Brandon Elder, so he had to make a pit stop. But we also have Jeff Winter and Bernard Person. Those guys both up 10 positions. And right now, that's where our battle on the track is. We got Ralph Nolan Jr. in this battle as well. Richie Coy losing out as he's lost a couple positions in the last couple laps as that 19 car looks like it's heading backwards.
Yeah, it looks like Richie had a great qualifying setup and not so much a good race handling setup. He's trying to figure out where he can run. He's been running that low line for the last couple of laps, but he started off running up on that high groove, Jared. So it's interesting to see that he's playing around, trying to figure out where his car can handle better.
And right behind him, we got Wayne Grossi and Lane Allen. Lane Allen, the Georgia native. You know, he wants to do good in this race, but in the meantime, you know, Terry Creeper Jr. hit the wall or got really loose and clipped the wall. I don't know if there's any damage on that 25, but he's dropped from 6th place back to 12th place. So the 25 car going the wrong way, our point leader. It doesn't look like there's much damage, if any, on that machine, but maybe you've just overdrove that car just a little bit right now.
Well, and he was another driver that was up running that high groove, Jared, and now it seems like he's running the lower groove. So these cars handle a lot different in that high groove as opposed to the bottom groove. So it could be that he got a little tight coming out of the corner, and that's what caused it. Or if he went down to the bottom, he may have gotten extremely tight as these cars are changing rapidly over these laps.
Yeah, and he is. The car's doing pretty good. right now, but who knows how it is in the driver's seat, because we know that these guys are really sawing on the wheel here at Atlanta. Right behind him is Dale Nearad, last week's winner. He's finally made it through this big pack back here, but Dale Nearad moving up 10 positions, so he is starting to move forward.
Certainly, he's been able to take advantage of some people's misfortune here early on, but it's definitely been a lot of work to get to where he is. Starting from 23rd now to 13th, that's a pretty substantial amount of people to pass here early on.
We got 3 wide behind him. We got Sherwood Williford, Jared Daniels, Randy McCanny, Troy Torgerson, and John Held, James Torrey, all in this little group here, Chris, and that's where our battle on the track is right now. They're fighting like it's the last lap, but this is a battle for 15th. It shows you just how competitive and deep this series is right now when you have a couple former champions and some runner-ups back here in the mid-pack.
Absolutely, and look at 15th, 16th, 17th. They've all came up 12, 16, or 22 positions to be where they are now.
These guys making their way through the pack for sure. Randy McCanny not. He's dropped 15 positions. He was our Daytona Road Course winner, and he is dropping back even further right now. James Torrey is now working under him. Good to see James making his race here tonight. John Held is 20th, and that's our top 20 right now, but it has been a heck of a race for these guys. We check back in up front. It's been the Tim Bill show, but that gap's starting to come back down. Brian Helm, Bobby Terrell starting to catch back up.
Yeah, Bobby's definitely been able to close into to Brian Helm, and it looks like actually it's been able to help both of them catch back up to Tim Bills, because when we went to go look through the field, Tim Bills had about a 8.8 second lead over Brian, but they've narrowed it back down to almost half of what it was.
So Tim Bills down, looks like it's about half a second right now to Brian Helm, 0.8 to Bobby Terrell. Quick rundown, check in on some of these other guys we talked about earlier. Stephen Vrooman is 2 laps down, Brandon Elder 4 laps down, Zach McDaniel 5 laps down, and I believe Dean Doucette has retired or is on pit road. He is in 40th position, so our 2-time champion in the Cup Series having a rough go of it. And that's, Chris, one of those things when if you don't qualify well, you get yourself in the back and all kinds of problems can happen.
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely one of those tracks that if you're not handling well, you end up putting yourself in the back. And as we know, that's where everyone is already fighting their car. So if you're back there, you're fighting your car, and you've got other people that are doing the same around you, something can lead to an incident. Now, the one person that this has benefited is Rachel Hunt. She's now fallen 1 lap down, but she's only 1 lap down, whereas the rest of these guys behind her are 2, 4, 5, and 11 laps behind.
Yeah, exactly. So if a caution comes out, get the lucky dog, get going. We look back in the back of this pack. We love to give love to all the drivers out here, and nothing negative, but Tracy Powers is our big driver that's dropped some positions. 22 spots, started 13th. He is down to 35th place on the track right now as the 45 car looks like it's lost the handling, and these guys are about 3 or 4 seconds from being lapped. That's got Bill Benedict in there, Chris Beck, and Andrew Palicki all in that group.
Absolutely, and you know who is hoping that a caution comes out before our leaders can catch up to Tracy Powers? That's Rachel Hunt in the 16 car.
Exactly, because if Tracy Powers or Chris Beck or any of these guys right up here go a lap down, then Rachel Hunt would lose out on that lucky dog position. But Bill Benedict has actually moved up 8 positions, but he is in a world of traffic back here. Andrew Palicki going to the high side there, so Bill Benedict up to 32nd position here. Randall Ballard, David Hensley, those guys have moved backwards just a little bit, but hanging around the top 30. But Chris, you know, we're getting on about, I would say, 7 to 8 laps from pit stops. What kind of strategy are you thinking for these guys going into this event? Do you take a full tank of fuel knowing that you don't really need one on this pit stop?
I still think you're going to. It just is a safe way to handle the race here. And it's certainly something that at this point they know exactly how their cars handle with this amount of fuel in it. That may play into their hands here. It's something that we got to keep an eye on. It'll be interesting to see, and I'll definitely keep an eye on it when they start pitting.
For sure. We do have Terry Cooper Jr., our point leader, in the pits, and that car, it looks like the handling's just gone away for Terry Cooper Jr. and he is on pit road. They are doing some damage repairs. That is a long stop for the 25 car. It is up to 15 seconds right now, Chris, and the 25 down the way, so a little bit of damage repair. But Terry Cooper Jr., this is an early pit stop for him, and we got takers coming now.
Well, and it set the stage for everyone else that was behind him. They saw him pitting, and now people are starting to come in. And I don't think it'll be too long before we start seeing our lead pack here also pitting.
John Held is in, Randy McCanney is in, Chris Beck is in. So some of those Ford Alliance drivers, Fury Motorsports, Coy Esports, Take Two Motorsports, all coming in together. A little bit of a strategy call there probably for those guys as they are coming in on lap 51. So they'll have to take a little bit more fuel here, or it doesn't even matter really. Tracy Powers also in the pits, Chris.
Now the question becomes, how long do you stay out before you decide to make your way down pit road? As our leader starts catching these drivers with fresher tires, it's going to be tempting to peel off and come to pit road. I don't know about you, Jared, but as people start going past me, I start wondering what's going on with my car, even if I know that it's just tires.
Speaking of leaders, we have a battle for the lead. Tim Bills, Bobby Terrell has caught and passed Brian Helm, and now he's working on the 77. Didn't lead last time, but he's got a good run coming off turn 4, and I think he's going to get it. No, I don't think he did. Our scoring shows Tim Bills led that lap as well, but Bobby Terrell coming to the front, trying to be our 4th leader of the night.
Certainly wants that extra point for leading the lap, and you can definitely see it in the way that he's driving. Now, what's interesting here is that this is right during green flag pit stops. What are these two going to do? Are they going to continue to battle here side by side? At some point, both of them are going to need to pit.
And don't look now, Jeff Winter has made himself through the pack, and he has got himself up to 4th place on the track. Chris, he came from nowhere, but Jeff Winter, don't count him out. He is now catching up to this lead group, and we're going to have a 4-car battle before long.
Absolutely, we certainly are, and it's interesting as these guys go side by side to see what happens. It looks like we're going to have a new leader coming out of the corner, and we certainly do, as Bobby Terrell makes it around Tim Bills.
Bobby Terrell gets around to the front. He's going to take the lead just pretty much in time for pit stops here. We got more drivers in. Kevin Rupert, Richie Coy, Andrew Palicki, Sherwood Williford, all in the pits right now, along with Chad Lang, Rob Shoemaker, Brad Patterson, all in. And Chris, we saw this in qualifying, but another cloud has come over the track, and that's got to be good for these drivers. Kind of tightens up this track a little bit for them.
It certainly will. They're definitely hoping that it'll hang around the track for a little bit longer, but I don't think that's going to be quite the case, as we seem to have sunny skies everywhere else, as they're trying to take it 3 wide coming out of turn 4.
Tim Bills, Jeff Winter, Brian Helm. Jeff Winter's car definitely looks to be the long-run vehicle right now, as he is all over the back of Tim Bills, trying to hold on and make some moves here. Brian Helm to the high side, and right now it looks like Jeff Winter just can't find a way through. At the same, oh, they're 3 wide again.
It looks like they were actually about 4 wide there as the car was coming out of the pits as well.
It looked like...
and it sounds like our leader is actually going to be pitting this next lap.
Bobby Terrell is in, so that's going to retake the lead over to Brian Helm. We got Tim Bills in as well.
Well, certainly those two are the ones that we've seen fighting the closest together. It makes sense that they're going to bring that fight straight to pit road.
And Chris, we saw this last week when we had our green flag pit stops. Ralph Nolan Jr., one of the drivers that stays out the longest, he's still out there. He's moved himself up to 3rd place on those old tires. So the 95 making some waves to the front of the field.
Certainly that bonus point for leading the lap matters, and these guys all throughout the entire field are definitely wanting to get that point tonight.
Oh, Brian Helm locked it up coming in the pits. That's going to be close to speeding. I don't know if he did or not. Jeff Winter was all over the back, and those two drivers very close there as Jeff Winter peels himself into the pits, and Brian Helm is in right now. We turn it over to our leader, Ralph Nolan Jr., as Chris, give us an update on those pit road.
Looking at it right now, it looks like as we come out of the pits, and it looks like the 77 actually had a much slower stop than our leader Brian Helms did. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to catch back up, because now he's got about 1.5 seconds behind Brian Helms.
Ralph Nolan Jr. heads to pit road. And now that's going to turn the lead over to Casey McMullen. Came into the race second in points. You also see Randall Ballard, Josh Mayu, David Hensley also in the pits as well. James Torrey also has not pitted, nor has Stephen Loomis. So these guys looking for points, especially. Oh, and Casey McMullen got loose off turn 2. That car very out of shape.
Certainly, it looks like at this point there's only 4 cars that haven't actually pitted, and one of them just made its way to pit road as well. It's definitely going to be a fight to get that bonus point for leading a lap.
Yeah, and you know, when you're James Torrey, Steve Loomis, Torrey, like we said, made his first race of the season tonight. Glad to see him out here, but bonus points help you move up the standings very quickly. Casey McMullen, he's fighting for a championship right now, even in these early parts of the race. Of the season, and right now that car all over the place, very, very loose, as we see Stephen Loomis and Brian Bliss, 2 teammates, heading into the pits right now. That's going to
Casey's actually trying to slow it down. You can actually see he locked it up in
Wow.
the corner, and is definitely
sliding.
coming to pit road this lap. Oh, hold on to it, Casey.
sliding, the 71 sliding, and there's Dean Doucette, his teammate, on pit road as well, and Casey McMullen, that's going to cost him a lot of time, but he does make it in safely and turn the lead over to James Torrey. But my goodness, Chris, he nearly threw it away right there.
He certainly did. Mistakes can make or break a race here, or anywhere for that matter, and especially as tight of races we've seen here tonight. And it's certainly going to be interesting to see how Casey's able to make up the time that he just lost going into the pits.
James Torrey takes over the lead. He's going to get that bonus point for leading. That's going to be our 7th leader tonight. And the 2 machine just wanted that 1 lap. He's heading into the pit road, and that will turn the lead back over. A much better pit stop for Torrey than Casey McMullen there. But all through that, Chris, it's going to turn the lead back over to Bobby Terrell, but Tim Bills and Jeff Winter are right there. So these guys didn't gain a whole lot on pit road on each other.
No, it was interesting to see because we know that Bobby got off of pit road a lot quicker than Tim did. Almost a 1.5 lead over Tim Bills coming out of the pits, and that has pretty much vanished now that we're back on the track and running laps.
So Bobby Terrell, the Tennessee driver, Tim Bills out of the Mid-South. I know he's a Mid-South guy. So is Jeff Winter. So a lot of Mid-South drivers up in the front here at Atlanta. And then Brian Helm from Idaho in 4th place, and he's battling with Jeff Winter right now for 3rd.
And it was interesting to see that Jeff Winter, with that long run speed car, has actually been able to stay up here with these guys. So it'll be interesting to see what he's able to bring to the table throughout the rest of this race.
It is going to be very interesting because now he doesn't have to worry about trying to work his way through traffic. He's only got 3 drivers in front of him. We cycle through the field real quick here as all the pit stops have been done. Let's start with 5th place here, Chris. We got Richie Coy running in 5th place. He started on the pole, and right now he is holding on to 5th place. Bernard Persson battling with him in 6th place. So these guys, good pit stops for both these drivers. Adjustments probably made as the defending champ trying to grab up into the top 5.
Certainly, and we know they had a little bit slower stop than what he would have liked after touching the wall coming out of 4. So we knew that he had to spend a little bit of time on pit road, but it seems to be working in his favor as he's actually been able to make his way back up into the pack a little bit more than when he went in.
We look behind this group. Ralph Nolan Jr., he was one of our late pit stoppers, and that car advantage is going to be that he's got fresher tires than some of these drivers in front of him. He pitted on 58, whereas Richie Coy pitted on 53, Bernard Persson on 55. So there's some advantage there for that number 95, Chris.
There certainly is. Tires here matter. In each lap, you're able to hold on and still be competitive lap time-wise. And before you make that pit stop, will actually make big dividends as our leaders are going through some heavy traffic up here.
Heavy traffic. Steven Vrooman, Chris Beck, Jared Daniels, all these guys trying to fight to stay on the lead lap. We also got word that I think Randy McCanney got a penalty for speeding. Yes, he did. So that's going to put him several laps down. But, you know, Chris, when you got these guys working through traffic like this, what is your mindset when you're the race leader? How do you temper getting around these guys that you're racing to put a lap down and racing the guys that are behind you for position?
Well, all you can do is hope that the guys that you're coming up against will actually move out of your way. But the problem is that if they're not already a lap down, they're not going to move out of your way. That's going to put their race in a much higher risk than they're willing to take. So they're not going to get out of your way. So it's up to you as a leader to figure out how to get around people. And the problem with that is that the person right behind you is going to follow you straight through them. They're going to get through there quicker than you.
Yeah, and not to mention, Chris, Jared Daniels is 23rd. That's not a bad run by any means. He's the last car on the lead lap right now on lap 68. So you know he doesn't want to go a lap down because there's a lot of positions for him to gain still in this race.
Well, and as we talk about it, it actually seems like Bobby's Terrell has been able to get around lap traffic a lot quicker than Tim Bills has in his number 77 car. He's losing a tenth a lap almost, it seems like, on Bobby.
Let's jump on board Bobby Terrell as he goes through this lap traffic, and they're 2 by 2 in front of you, and that's got to make it a little bit difficult on you when you're trying to make your way through the pack. But you can tell he's being very patient right now behind these 4 lap drivers.
You certainly have to be, and you hope that the guys in front of you are going to end up making themselves single file before you actually get there, but that's not going to be the case for Bobby tonight.
Yeah, he's got at least, if I'm counting this correctly, Chris, 8 cars within about a second and a half in front of him. So that is quite a bit he's going to have to work through. And that right there in front of him, it looks like John Held. We got Bill Benedict back here as well. So tough battling.
It is certainly tough, and you can actually see the guys are doing their best to try to figure out a way to make it to where they're giving Bobby room to get through without losing their own speed and their own battles that they have going on.
John Held running 31st right now. Bill Benedict 23rd. We also have Zach McDaniel, who's 37th now, apologies. All in this group here. We also, right in front of them, we got Josh Mayu on his debut night. He's in the 22nd position, trying to stay on the lead lap. Jared Daniels in 21st, as Bobby Terrell puts Bill Benedict a lap down. 22 drivers remaining on the lead lap. We're not at halfway just yet either, Chris.
No, we're not. We're getting closer to it. We're about, I think it's about 12 laps away. And so all these guys are doing everything they can to stay on the lead lap here because it's a long way to go. If there's only 20 on the lead lap here in just a few laps, you definitely don't want to have that many cars go down a lap again. You could end up with only the top 5 on the lead lap here if this continues at the pace that Bobby's been setting.
And the other thing too, Chris, I wanted to point out, look at this track map. If you bring up the track map, there is no clean track on the race right now. There is a car on every inch of this 1.5 mile circuit right now, and that makes it even more difficult.
Yes, these cars definitely love clean air, and right now, not a single person out here is going to get it.
You see James Torrey, he's actually going to unlap himself. He was the last driver to come down pit road. Casey Mullen just unlapped himself. These two guys, staying out that long, Chris, they cost themselves 2 laps. Casey Mullen just got 1 back. James Torrey, or Casey Mullen locked up the brakes. That's why he lost 2. James Torrey has been able to put himself back on the lead lap, so that puts us back up to 23. But man, you lose a lot of time staying out long, it seems like.
You certainly do. It's a risk versus reward. You know you're going to be faster than the guys that pit before you, but it's how much time are you willing to give up when they pit before you, and that's what they're dealing with right now. And certainly as a leader, you don't want people to be passing you right now, because it makes you a little bit nervous because you already have all these people in front of you. We have 2, 3 wide in front of our leader as they're trying to get around here with the fresher tires. And that just puts that much more stress on you to make clean and smart decisions, Jareth.
Exactly, and we jump on board with Brian Helm. He's trying to get around, but you got guys battling all over the place for different positions. John Held slides up. That's going to let Jeff Winter come in and slide underneath Brian Helm. And right in front of him is Tim Bills, and Bobby Terrell has caught this big pack. You see him right up at the top of the track. Somebody very close to the wall in front of Bobby Terrell.
I can tell you right now, I would be as nervous as I possibly could be as I was going through here if I were Bobby. You got guys in here that they're having ill handling cars, and they know they've got to overdrive the car just to be able to stay in front of our leader here.
Somebody got in the wall there behind him. That was Matt Geringer. Bobby Terrell manages to get through this. He's only got 3 more cars to get through. Jared Daniels, James Torrey, and Josh Mayu. But my goodness, Chris, this is unreal. In that span of time, Bobby Terrell lost time to Tim Bills, and we take a look at our time deltas. This thing has come down from 1.2 seconds to under a second now. Bobby Terrell really, really struggling to get through that big, large group of cars.
And actually looking at the timing and scoring, Tim Bills was almost 1.8 seconds behind Bobby going as Bobby started to catch this traffic. So it's almost a full second that he's been able to make up on our leader.
And we actually extend that out a little bit, and you see how that has come down as this race has gone on. And looking out the back of Bobby Terrell's number 5 machine, you can see big time pack. And we look even further back, look at Tim Bills, look at him. He's got several drivers back there. Chris, and you talked about earlier, patience has got to be the key to get through these kind of situations, because you're running a race and they're running a race too.
Absolutely, patience and focus, because at this point you may not be able to run your line every lap because you got people all around you that are taking whatever line they need to get through here.
And you see Chris is about to go, looks like the police are on their way, Chris. Best of luck, buddy.
Unfortunately, that I do have some sirens in the background. Sorry about that. Little bit of a storm here in Texas tonight, and I'm sure that's what what the rescue team is going out for.
Yeah, we like to have a little fun here, Chris, just giving you a hard time, man. But right now in the race, it's been a heck of a battle. But these top 4, Chris, Terrell, Bills, Winter, and Helm, they're pretty much the guys up front and have really gapped themselves out. Ralph Nolan Jr. is 6 seconds behind Brian Helm right now in 5th place in that 95. We're coming up not too far from pit stops again, and it's going to be one of those cycles where we're just basically going to go through traffic and then pit stops are going to happen again, it seems like.
It certainly seems that way. And actually looking at our leader, Bobby, he's actually been able to open up a 1.3 second lead on our second place, Tim Bills. So it definitely, traffic has made a big impact, not only for our leader, but also as Tim was working his way around the traffic as well in his 77 machine.
Yeah, exactly right. It was really interesting because that gap came down, and as you see on our bar graph here on our time delta, it came down and then it came back up. So he was catching and then he lost time again in a tough break for Tim Bills, as he's going to have to maybe get some pit strategy to change his outcome in this race, it seems like, Chris.
Well, I definitely don't know what pit strategy he's going to be able to take on these pit stops, because at this point everyone's going to need 4 tires when they come back. But what he might be able to do is make a small adjustment to that car to be able to make it a little bit faster on a long run, which it seems like has been his weakness throughout tonight.
Yeah, we look at some pit strategy here. We bring up the pit strategy box. Bobby Terrell, Bills, all 25 laps on this run. Winter 24 along with Helm. We also have Grossi and Person. Those guys also on 25. Richie Coy, the most out of the top 10, he's on 28 lap old tires. And Chris, we know that these guys really have to split this thing up. They could go 65 laps, so if they could stretch to 100, they're good to go. But that's got to be a little bit of a risk. But the other part of pit strategy too, Chris, is the undercut or the overcut. Does somebody try to short pit this one and try to gain some track position that way?
It's such a risk that I don't know that you can. You don't want to be the first person to start pit stops, but you certainly don't want to be the last, as we saw earlier on. And so you want to wait about maybe 2-3 laps after you hear some of the top lead lap cars start pitting, and that's what's really going to make the difference here.
We look back through this field a little bit, give some love to some of these other drivers. And let's see, we're on lap 80. Let's go through the field real quick and start with Bobby Terrell. Bobby Terrell up 3 positions from his starting position, and it took him a little while, Chris, but he's able to get himself up to the lead and take over, and really has started to check out from Tim Bills. And looking at second place, we got Tim Bills, who has been in the top 5 all night with that wheeling and dealing number 77, looking for a good run, his best cup run, I think, to his credit here tonight, and doing a very good job in that 77 as we continue to work through traffic. And looking at our third place driver, Jeff Winter, up 12 positions tonight in that number 30 machine. We saw him a couple weeks ago, finished in the top 3, finished second at Las Vegas, finished 4th at Homestead. Definitely has a 1.5 mile program figured out in that machine, Chris, as we look back at 4th place, Brian Helm.
Yeah, Brian has actually been one of their first drivers in the top 5 to actually lose positions. He's lost 2 positions tonight, not a lot, still able to maintain the top 5. Ralph Nolan Jr. right behind him is plus 11. And then you've got Lane Allen plus 11, Sherwood Wilford up 20 positions. And he's our biggest mover within the top 10 for sure.
When you look at Sherwood Williford doing a good job in 17th here, or up 17 in 10th place, right behind Lane Allen, who finished second at Daytona. Probably wishing he had won that race because it's been such a competitive series, but the Georgia native in the top 10, that's got to be good.
User joined your channel.
But a shout out to Mr. Wayne Grossi, 38th in points coming into this race, runner-up in points last season, and he is up in the top 10 as we have former champion and broadcast associate Dean Doucette jumping in the booth. How's it going, Dean?
Well, it's not going the greatest, but we've calmed down. We're up here and checking out, and I always say, Jared, one man's troubles is another man's opportunity, and I had some troubles tonight. We're seeing some other guys having a little struggle out there, but some new guys moving up towards the front. Looks pretty good for them tonight.
Yeah, and Dean, since you're in the booth, it looked like, there was a little bit of maybe a connection issue with some drivers that created an incident, and you were just kind of an innocent bystander there and kind of put you off the pace there, it looked like.
I'm not sure. It looked to me like on review there, the 00, just trying to be nice, let some traffic by, got too high in the tri-oval there, and just, couldn't gather that high line, got loose twice, and hit the wall, come down and got me. It happens. I'm not sure, but I also, I don't know if you know or not, earlier in the race, there was a 42 of Zach McDaniel. Him and another car both got loose in front of me, and I T-boned them, trying to avoid them. No caution. Really shocked by that.
Yeah, actually, that was the event I was referring to, and I think, Chris, you picked up on that second event that we weren't able to find a good replay of between you and the 00, but sounds like you kind of gave us a rundown there. Very unfortunate to see you, but does it feel better to have that win in the bank, even though it's kind of a rough night for you?
It does now. I was really looking forward to doing points battle this season, and you know me, I'm never going to give up. I'll come out swinging next week, but this is a big hit to any of those kind of points things. But that win, so huge. I can relax. I got champions provisional to get in these races, and I've got the win to get into the playoffs. So yeah, it's a load off.
It's been great action here at Atlanta, and really just throughout the entire pack, as we were talking about earlier, Chris. The track map, it hasn't changed at all. It's actually looks even more congested, except between 10th and 11th place. It looks like that's where there's a big gap.
Yeah, the 11th place car is definitely enjoying the room in front of them, and everyone else is jealous at this point, including our leader. Now, the good thing for our leader, Bobby Terrell, it seems like he's catching them one at a time rather than 3 or 4 of them side by side racing hard.
And Dean, you were out on the track earlier. How difficult was this track to race on tonight? I mean, it looked hot and slick. Looked like there was a lot of multiple grooves coming in. Take us into the driver's helmet on how it was in Atlanta.
Man, it was something. I think it's fair to say we missed a bit on the setup, but the track was really driver dependent out here. I'll give you an example. We had 2 drivers in our organization blow tires on the first run. Brian Bliss blew a right front tire. Casey McMullen blew a right rear tire. So, different driving, same car, or relatively the same car. It's very difficult. Tire wear is extraordinary, or was in the early parts of this race.
Yeah,
And that's actually something that's new, Dean, with iRacing. We used to not have this issue where we'd have tires that blow, but as they've made these adjustments to iRacing, that's one of the new key factors here that you can actually get down to. It doesn't show damage or anything like that, but it'll get down to 0% tire wear on these cars and make them almost impossible to get around here. I believe it even gives you what we call the meatball flag, saying that you need to pit for damage.
Yeah, they did get a flag indeed. And one of the cool things from a broadcast or just in iRacing in general was I hopped in Brian Bliss's car, and because it was the right front, I guess, compared to Casey's right rear, I could hear that right front flopping around like a busted tire. So pretty cool effect there from iRacing. Interesting, but the track really demanding tonight.
And Chris, we talked about this is, even though this track was scanned, they have updated it since the scan as far as the physics on it. But this track, 24-year-old surface, the oldest surface in the game besides Dover, which was a concrete surface, 1995 when that was done, and hasn't been resurfaced since. Concrete a little bit different than pavement. But, you know, you look at this race, Chris, we're getting about 5 to 10 laps, I guess, for our next round of pit stops. And, you know, Dean, we've talked about before, undercut, overcut. Are you still going with everybody needs to pit when the first guy pits on the lap?
Geez, I mean, I just didn't get enough time on the track tonight to really know. But I got to tell you, I don't believe if you want to do anything crazy tonight, this is one of those true split down the middle with this tire wear issue and everything. You want to pit so bad, but you don't want to pit early because you don't want a longer stint on the back end.
Chris, you sticking with your strategy?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at this point, our top 5 will all pit within a lap of each other. You've got 56, lap 56, lap 56, lap 57, 57, 58. Right there seems like a winning strategy to me. You've got to be able to make it to come in with the same guys that you're racing around and hope you're able to make up a little bit more time on them after maybe a small adjustment to your car. Now, one thing that I will say is that if I am Tim Bills, I'm going to pit a lap earlier than Bobby Terrell if I know when he's going to pit, because that one extra lap may give me some way to catch back up to him, because we know that Tim has had a short run car so far tonight. Bobby seems to be a pretty average as far as his lap times go, not much different. Now, the one driver we have seen that made a huge difference was Jeff Winter. He wants to stay out as long as possible because that's where his car actually showed the most strength early on. So if I'm these guys, that's what I'm thinking about in my head. Trying to figure out what adjustments that I can right now so that way I don't have to worry about them once I get to pit road. Especially our leader, who's got probably the freest track in front of him he's had probably within the last 20-25 laps.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. And Dean, you know, you were in the cockpit tonight. And, you know, I don't want you to give away any strategy calls, but was anybody making, or did you know of anybody making some pit road adjustments tonight because of how much the track was changing?
Oh, definitely. And it's one of those things. I mean, it was kind of, didn't have a long enough time to really figure it out, but it seemed to be almost a case of where this is acting the opposite. As the track cools down, the car might get looser, and that might be just in part because you're running faster times through these corners and burning up different sections of the car. But the adjustments are definitely key. I mean, I heard several calls in the pits for guys making minor adjustments, but adjustments nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Chris, you know, we look at checking on the weather real quick too. We are down to 97 track temp, 83 air temp. Is this a good time maybe to add a little tape on the front of that car?
I would say yes, but with the amount of cars that all are spread out here, I don't know that it's going to help you that much. It may end up causing you to overheat if you make it into some heavy lap traffic like we've already seen some tonight.
Jeff Winter, in the meantime, we've been cutting it up here, has passed Tim Bills into second place. We take a look on board that machine right now, and the time delta, it's gone from 2.4 seconds down to 1.9. So Jeff Winter closing in on Bobby Terrell, but he's got 3 lap cars between him. We got James Torrey, Rob Shoemaker, or Jared Daniels, and Stephen Vrooman, it looks like, in between them right now.
Jared, you look at this guy, Jeff Winter, pretty new to this series. And, you know, my eye, has been on him because he's yet another long-run driver in a league full of long-run drivers. But he's chasing maybe one of the best. That's Bobby Terrell. But I'm telling you, from what I've seen, nobody's been doing it better in the last, 3 or 4 weeks that I've seen than Jeff Winter on the long run.
Yeah, part of that RPM Motorsports stable. Jeff Chandler, his teammate, got a win a couple weeks ago. Now Jeff Chandler has quite a crazy work schedule from what he was telling me, so looks to be in and out for now. But Jeff Winter holding the mantle right now in that number 30 machine as he's working underneath the 56. I apologize, it's not Stephen Vrooman, it's Randall Ballard. No, it is Stephen Vrooman, that is the 00. Car lap down there, but you talked about it, Dean. Last week we had some cautions, but this week we're back to the green flag running, and it seemed like there were some guys that we had comers and goers, but it was like 17 or 18 laps into the race. Did you guys have a strategy to set up for the long run tonight, or was there any indication you might have a short run?
I mean, I thought Atlanta is traditionally green flag here at Full Throttle Sim Racing. I plan for green flag racing, but you know, obviously we missed on the setup. I really thought we had something on the long run, but it's just not the case. But you know, that's what I was trying to do. I was just laying around the back saving those tires, and well, you know what happened.
Nadine, because you're in the booth with us, I've got to ask, what does it take for you and your team? What practice do you put in there? How many hours, how many laps do you put in to actually be able to run well here on our Monday nights?
Well, I got to tell you, man, it's getting more and more intense as the competition in this league ratchets it up, and you also have this cup car. So for this week, for instance, I could not do a 10-lap run and make an adjustment. I mean, a little bit early maybe to get some speed in the car, but you had to do a minimum of 40-lap runs to know what your car is going to do. And I probably, evidence shows, I probably should have been doing 60-lap runs. But I mean, you're talking multiple 40-lap runs just to find a setup to start with. And then 40-lap runs on top of that to make adjustments. I mean, you got to put in hours. We're talking minimum of 6 hours, you know, and probably 10, 12 hours. I mean, I don't know where you find the time, but it's a lot of time out here.
Well, everyone right now is taking a deep sigh because we got our first caution of the night.
Yeah, Bill Benedict, hard contact. It looks like maybe the back end of that machine got into the wall. So let's take a look and see what happened to the 90. And it's going to bring out our first yellow just in time for pit stops. And see what happens to Bill Benedict here. Oh, and so he's underneath there. There's Troy Torgerson, one of the drivers we focused on early. Underneath of him there. He's on the high side. Oh, he gets loose and gets down to his teammate. And Troy Torgerson's going to take some damage and a hard impact. That was right in front of the 5th place driver, Ralph Nolan. But it looks like just the 90 of Bill Benedict involved there. But that could have been catastrophic for so many drivers in the top 10.
The best part about this track, Jared, is how big that it is. And with those very banked corners, it tends to put people right back down onto the apron here. So it's going to be interesting. A couple guys had already talked about pitting or started to make their way to pit road. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Who stays out, who comes in, what changes people are going to make. Some people are thankful for this. It's going to bunch everyone back together. So Jared, as you know, and we saw it last week, cautions brewed cautions.
Yeah, and we don't know what's going to happen here. On board Ralph Nolan, that smoke is thick. He doesn't even know what's going on. Oh my, holy cow. Ralph Nolan, wonderful driving, but there was nothing he could see there, and he just had to hope that the car wasn't going to be there when he got there. I don't think I've seen anything closer to that since they've updated the smoke on this game.
It certainly has brought a lifelike aspect to iRacing, even more so, and we're thankful for iRacing to be able to do that for us.
For sure. So we see the pit stops down the way. Bobby Terrell, Jeff Winter, Tim Bills, Brian Helm, Ralph Nolan, Jared Daniels is going to jump up into 6th place. And I'm looking at his pit time. Good pit stop. But no, I apologize. He did not pit. So the 21 either missed his stop or something happened. So the 21 will most likely be coming back in. So we got Sher Williford, Wayne Grossi, Richie Coy, Lane Allen, our top 10 right now. And Dean, you know, Lane Allen, the Georgia guy, I know he's your teammate, but, you know, he's got to have a little bit extra motivation to do good in this race. He's been in the top 10 all night.
Yeah, Lane's been great, and he hasn't had the best of luck basically in all of FDSR. He's got a couple of wins, I think, under his belt on road, but Lane due for a good finish here, and he's doing the team proud, man. He's holding down the fort tonight. A lot of guys having issues out there, me included. So, yeah, we're really rooting for Lane to have a good one out here. These guys got a long stint here with, I think we're on lap 110, so they're going to have 50-plus laps here to finish it out.
Yeah, and that, you know, it's going to eliminate any kind of fuel strategy or anything like that, which we probably weren't going to have anyway, as that was likely going to be the last pit stop. But now these guys have to go to the end, and what you got's what you got at this point. That was your last opportunity to make adjustments. And Chris, knowing that you have just 53 laps to go, this was your final pit stop, how aggressive do you get with those adjustments, especially if you're back, you know, in 20th or 19th toward the end of the tail end of this lead lap here tonight?
Oh, certainly you're wanting to make changes. The problem is that with it now going to be going from a green flag run, you know that you're going to end up being a lot more loose around other cars. So you want to make those big changes, but at this point, some people are going to be scared too. The number five, I don't know that I'd make a lot of changes. Will that be a mistake? Possibly. It all depends on how much the track changes here. Now we've got Jeff Winter that has had a great long run car. Does he make it a little bit better of a short run car here so that way he can get ahead of Bobby and try to put some distance between him and the number five driver?
Yeah, that's a good point. And Dean, you know, you broadcasted Wednesday night Bobby Terrell here at Atlanta in the Truck Series. I mean, he was great. I mean, he held off Casey McMullen with a great pass there at the end of the race. But you know, he looked pretty good in this race. It's not so it can't be too surprising that he's up front.
No, nobody's surprised ever to see Bobby up front, but Cup not really his forte. But this track with this tire wear, I mean, nobody drives smoother, no more consistent than Bobby Terrell. Now, I'm a little concerned here as to I think the other guys know this. Winter, kind of a long run guy too, but will Bills or Helm or Nolan, maybe Person, try something here in the first 10 laps and try and get something going early to get around him and slow down the progress of this 5 car.
Yeah, that's going to be something we'll have to see. And shout out to Kevin Rupert. He has put that number one machine in the top 10. The Carl Edwards paint scheme from Kellogg's back in the, I think, late 2000s is what he's running. But the pace car making the left-hand turn, and we are about ready to start green again. Bobby Terrell, Jeff Winter are going to lead him down. And green flag back out here in the GT Performance 250 from Atlanta. And a good stop by Bobby Terrell.
Little update for you too. Kenneth Schultz, Casey McMullen getting wave rounds there. They're back on the lead lap.
Thanks for that update, Dean. Definitely appreciate having the third member in the broadcast right now. Appreciate you coming up here and joining us in here. But Bobby Terrell, great run off the corner. Tim Bill shoving him down the corner into turn 3, Chris.
He certainly is, and we see it here. Now that we got cars side by side, you may not be in the groove that you want, but you're in the groove that you're stuck in at this point, at least for our second and third battle going on here with Tim Winters and Bills.
Looked like Brian Helm got very loose on the exit of turn 3 going into turn 4, and that car really stacked up those guys. He's got his teammate Bernard Person behind him, and now they're 3 wide back there.
They quickly decided that was a bad idea.
Loose back there.
He's very, very loose, Dean, as you said there. And you look at it, you know, if you're in the situation as a driver, you know, what do you do when your car is just not up to temperature, the tires aren't up to temperature, but you have guys that are just flying by you left and right, Dean?
So frustrating. There's not a whole lot you can do, but what Brian Helm is doing, hang on for dear life, try and hold as many positions as you can without causing a problem. And, you know, and Brian's going to do a good job with that. Obviously, his car is a little loose at the beginning, should come in here, but he's going to be in a bit of problems here, falling back to the 6th place here.
It certainly will. And as we're talking about Brian and holding on, it looks like our number 5, Bobby, is actually trying to hold on to the lead here as Tim Bills is right underneath him.
Tim Bills, great run off the corner. And again, it seems like, Chris, we talked about this early in the race. The top side, maybe it's not the almost contact between the 77 and the 5 in turn 3. Tim Bills trying to side draft. That's another aspect that we haven't talked a lot about that's allegedly or potentially in the game now. And Tim Bills right there gets a great run off the tri-oval because of that.
I don't know if it was side draft or he was just trying to figure out if 4 tires are better than 4, but that's exactly what happens. As we see, Tim Bills is going to take the lead from Bobby, coming out of 2.
Wow, that's exactly what he needed to do. He knows Bobby's good on the long run, but can he pass him on the long run? He went up here and took that away from him. That's a great job. But guys, I'm going to check out of the booth. I'm going to leave you to it. I know you guys do a fantastic job. I'll go watch the broadcast from here on.
Well, Dan, we appreciate you coming up. And real quick before you go, how are you feeling about Bristol Dirt next week?
I have not been on Bristol Dirt yet, but I'm feeling good about it. I mean, I've had good runs on the dirt. I'm not a dirt driver, but I enjoy the process of getting out there and having some fun. So I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, Dan, well, we appreciate
guys, we have a car hard into the wall in the back straight.
Oh, let's see what happens. It's Jared Daniels in there. Dean, we appreciate you coming up in the booth. And we look forward to hearing your broadcast on Wednesday night. Definitely check out those broadcasts for the Blackwire Products Truck Series, as we're going to try to get an update on what happened to Mr. Jared Daniels in
And
that
actually,
21.
right then, Jared, as you were talking, we had a car go through the
Helm
infield as
blew
well.
his engine, guys, before I leave. Helm blew his engine.
And it's gone haywire here. Brian Helm has blown the engine on the 26 machine. All kinds of stuff happening. And Chris, we talked about it. Tape. Did he add some tape and make an adjustment there on the pit stop? I'm thinking, yeah, he did.
He did, but he also could have got into someone with them being that close together here on the start. This is the closest that these guys have been to some of their competitors that they're battling for position, and that could have been part of the issue. You could have had one car that slows down to the corner a little bit more than the others, and maybe someone got into the back of someone else, and that could have been what happened to Brian Helms.
Unbelievable action here. We're going to stay with the lead here. We'll get those replays to you here shortly as we have an opportunity to. But right now it's Tim Bills, Bobby Terrell, Jeff Winter, Ralph Nolan, Bernard Person, your top five, Brian Helm. What's more amazing is the fact that he blew the engine, Chris, and somehow, some way, nobody ran into the back of him or wrecked.
Well, that's one advantage that we have of iRacing, is that we have the ability to communicate with not just our team, but with everyone around us. And so you could actually hear Brian trying to tell people around him that he was blowing up, and that's gave them a little bit of a leeway to know what was happening. It's not much of one. When you're going 180 miles an hour, you can travel really quick, fast around here. So they were able to respond really quickly as we got a side-by-side for the lead again.
Battling again, Bobby Terrell coming back, and you got to think that Jeff Winter is loving this right now. Some lap traffic involved there. Chris Beck on the bottom side trying to get out of the way. Got some cars coming in and out of pit road, so a lot of action going on here on the track right now, but Bobby Terrell trying to go back to the lead.
You know, it's something that we haven't actually had a chance to talk about here tonight, but you think anyone's going to be doing a slide job on the cars in front of them? Right then, Bobby did it a little bit over Tim Bills, and you know at this point you've got to go. There's just over 40 laps here left to go. You're going to do whatever it takes to get that track position. We saw it right there.
Yeah, he was very close, Chris. You pointed it out right when it happened on our screen. That was extremely close. We got Kenneth Schultz coming out of pits, so he is might have gotten some damage at some point there. And right now, Bobby Terrell clears Tim Bills. Right behind them, Jeff Winter battling with Ralph Nolan Jr. So these guys battling extremely hard. Ralph Nolan, I mean, he started back in the middle of the pack, and because of these cautions and the pit strategy, has found himself in the top 10. And now we really get to see what this 95 car can do.
We certainly do, and one thing that's throwing a wrench in all of this going on right now is that we have Chris Beck, who's actually way back in 31st position, who's got new tires and able to keep up with our lead pack here as he's going to try to go around our leader.
Chris Beck in the 44 going to unlap himself here. So Chris put him back one lap back on the lead, toward the lead. Jared Daniels also back here. He is the last car on the lead lap. He was the driver that got in the wall. So he just got lapped, so he is 18th, first car one lap down. He is hoping for a caution because his accident didn't bring one out.
Certainly, and that's one of the things that when you're going through an incident like that, you're just praying that you'll get the caution so that it can bunch everyone back up and you can get the car repaired and get back out there quickly. Well, that's not the case here at Atlanta. There's a lot of room off of the racing surface, and that's what we saw throughout, I guess it was 1, 2, 3 even incidents that we had right there in the span of 5 laps.
As things have died down, let's take a look and see what happened to Jared Daniels here. So Jared Daniels, you see in front of him, 3 wide here. He is on the bottom. A car disappears, and it looks like the 17 just came down into him. Hard impact for the 17, hard impact for the 21. The 17 looks like he was able to get going, but heavy damage on that machine as well. And then the 21 gets going, Chris, and that's why he's a lap down right now.
It's certainly going to make for a rough night for the rest of these guys, because at this point you don't expect that you're going to make it down pit road unless you absolutely have to for damage. So there's not like you're going to be able to make up time on those around you.
In the meantime, as we got that replay in, Bobby Terrell inching out a lead. Tim Bills is second, Jeff Winter is third, and Ralph Nolan in fourth. And these guys have really broken away from the rest of the field right now. Chris, is it down to a 4-man battle, or is it even just a 1-man battle with Bobby Terrell right now?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Trends here from Larry Mack said that at Atlanta, you've got a caution anywhere between 23 laps to go and the finish of the race. So it's anyone's game still, because at this point, we don't know what's going to happen, Jared.
You're 100% right, Chris. I thought we were going to have a caution-free event tonight, and you saw what happened there. Just a little bit of contact between or a driver getting loose there, and it changed the whole complexion of the race. And you're exactly right, Chris. I'm glad you called me out on the trends. As you see, Ralph Nolan working again on Jeff Winter, trying to find a way around it.
Well, and we know Jeff loves his long run car and long run setup. So right now, Ralph is actually being able to be competitive with him and keep up with him. At this point, those two, even though it seems like they're so much farther back than our leader and the number 77 car as well, maybe they're just trying to conserve, because we know the two up front may not be, because at this point they know it could be between those two. Those two have had the most significant battles here all race long. So they're going to save their stuff a little bit here, especially if I'm Jeff in that number 30 car, because he knows he has the long run speed. But who knows? He could have made an adjustment to his car, and we'll see what that does as this long run plays out. I mean, we still got 33 laps.
33 laps is a long time in Atlanta. Casey Mullen just coming out of the pits. He's going to get 1 lap back here in just a second. You see, maybe you can see it on our screen here, Brian Helm's car smoking on pit road, and that's why you see that in turn 3. That car very much on fire on pit road right now. But a tough break for him coming in the race, doing a great job. But, you know, Chris, we look a little bit further back. This battle, Richie Coy has gotten around Lane Allen, but Lane Allen trying to work back around him. And Dean talked about when he was up in the booth, you know, Lane Allen really carrying the torch for Steve Berry and Blackwire Motorsports tonight.
He certainly is. He's doing a great job. Started on the pole, trailed off there at the beginning, but was able to make his way back up into the top 10. And right behind him, actually, we had another incident, but that didn't bring out a caution. So it's certainly frustrating when that happens for those drivers, but everyone else is at this point is praying for no caution.
Yeah, exactly right. Lane Allen there doing a great job. Right behind him, last week's winner, Dale Nearat, up into the top 10. He's trying to find a way past Lane Allen and Richie Coy there. Sure, Williford there. And don't look now. And I don't, you know, I know it's your cousin there, but Jason Speer up 24 positions. He's our big gainer of the night right now in 11th place in the 83 machine.
It's certainly good to see him doing well. You're right, he is my cousin, so I always have that little hope that he does well. So it'd be great to see if he can break into the top 10 in this long run, which seemed to be his specialty. Both with him and Dale, they seem to be working very well together, and they've made their way up through the pack basically all night together.
And those two teammates there, Speer Motorsports, Bandit Motorsports, 3 drivers right there. Dale Nearad, Sure Williford, Jason Speer, all on teams. Sure Williford going to lose out there as Jason Speer working that high side. He's going to get a run on the 03 and put himself solidly into the top 10 there. Kevin Rupert also having a great night. Shout out to him. Whoa, contact back there. Looked like Sure Williford got a little bit loose, and that cost some time to Dale Nearad.
It certainly did. I mean, right now at this point, your car's going through a transition, because you're halfway through the run. A lot of cars will seem to tighten up as they get into the middle of the run and then start to loosen back up. And I think that might have been what we saw right there.
Shout out to Kevin Rupert doing a great job. I mean, he's become a guy, Chris, we saw this last week, had a great run. He's become a guy that's been able to find himself toward the top 10, top 15 at the end of the races, and that's really crucial there. And behind him, there's a big old pack of cars, Ronnie Royal and Dale Nearad on the lead lap. We also have Kenneth Schultz and John Held who are battling, but they're a lap down, so that's got to make things even more complicated for him.
Absolutely, and it's interesting to see if you look at our timing and scoring. You've got basically 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 6 cars within a second of each other right there battling for position. And intermixed in them is a couple cars that are laps down as well.
Exactly, and those lap down cars battling for positions too. So position battling all over the place. But right now that's extended that out Kevin Rupert into the top 10. Jason Speer up to his highest running position of the night in ninth. Just behind, in front of him, Lane Allen, Richie Coy, Wayne Grossi having a great night. Battling with Bernard Person, last year's defending champ, hasn't had the season he's wanted. Finished dead last week at Phoenix, Chris. But now he's right now in the top 5, and I think he'll take that tonight. If he can hold off Wayne Grossi, even better.
Certainly, he's looking to have some luck here tonight compared to what he had last week. And it really doesn't matter where you start this race, it's how you finish it. And he's trying to make sure that he can keep it up in the top 5 here for certain.
Bernard Person fifth right now, apologies. Ralph Nolan Jr. is still stalking Jeff Winter. So Jeff Winter, he had that long run car, and yeah, we've only been back green about 30 laps or so here, Chris. But are you kind of surprised that he hasn't taken off yet?
I don't know. At this point, I think that Jeff is actually, his car doesn't seem to come in until about 40 laps into the run. But at this point, I'm getting a little nervous if I'm in that 30 camp.
25 laps to go here at the GT Performance 250. And shout out to GT Performance for sponsoring tonight's event. That's Gary Griffith and all those guys. So shout out to those guys. Gary couldn't make tonight's race, but that team, part of the Ford organization, does a great job, and really appreciate them coming on board and sponsoring tonight's event here for the Darkmatter Designs Cup Series. As Chris, 25 laps to go. We've seen how this strategy has gone. Nobody's heading down pit road. Nothing's really going to happen. But some of these guys we thought were going to come to the front, they are running out of time to get it done.
Absolutely. I mean, with just under 25 laps to go, at this point, you know what you've got. You've got to start searching around on the track to find every ounce of speed that you possibly can. A tenth matters a lot here, and that's what we're seeing with even our top 3 cars. As the lead is continuing to grow for Bobby in that number 5 car over Tim, it's almost a second right now. So every single tenth that you can find, even hundredth at this point, makes a huge difference.
Chris, I wanted to bring up some information here. You look at the last lap times. Jason Speer is the 3rd quickest driver on the track. He's made himself into the top 10, and now he's working on Richie Coy, going for 7th place. I don't think there's enough time for Jason Speer to get into the top into the top 5, is there?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I mean, you would like to think that there is, but with just under 23 laps to go, I don't know that you can. But if you continue to gain and gain and gain and gain, I mean, it's what, 6 seconds back to our leader for him. So he may not be able to catch our leader, but he may be able to make it up into the top 5. I don't see that being unreasonable.
See these guys working, and this is where the battling is right now. Richie Coy goes to the high side. You got Steve Limas on the bottom there trying to get out of the way. He does a great job of that. But you got Jason Speer now clearing Richie Coy off the turn on the bottom side. We've seen him work the high side the whole race. Oh, and right behind him, Kevin Rupert gets a little contact, and he's through the grass. Kevin Rupert through the grass, holds on to it, but oh my goodness, that was a heck of a save out of the one driver.
Absolutely. We were talking about how he was having a clean race so far and needed to do so, but it seems like he's a little bit of struggle right there.
Now let's see if we can find out what happened here to the number 1 machine. It looked like potentially he just got loose and maybe a little contact with the 33. Bring out the replay here, so we're on board. Now let's go look at the TV cam. So here's Kevin Rupert. He is underneath Lane Allen coming off turn 4 here, and gets loose. The car starts to come around, gets a little bit loose, and looks like that's not the right lap. So here we go. Now we got Kevin Rupert on the outside, Sher Williford battling through turn 3 and 4. And it looks like we're still not quite there just yet. He is coming through 4, and that machine just gets, looks like it gets a little bit loose underneath Lane Allen, Chris, and caused the checkup, and Sher Williford just nowhere really to go there.
not at all. And it's unfortunate that it happens, and it happens in the blink of an eye here. Did a really good job of minimizing the damage to that number one car, and was able to keep going at this point.
And another guy in this battle of pack here, back toward the middle of the field as the clouds are coming back out again. That's Josh Mayu in his debut race. Chris, you talked about Atlanta is not an easy track to make a debut at. He has found himself in 12th place, heading into the top 10 here in the 51 machine.
It's a fantastic run by Josh in that 51 camp today. And really what it comes down to is being able to avoid, as people continue to have accidents, even if it doesn't bring out a caution, little bitty mistakes has been able to help Josh be able to bring that Chevy Camaro up front or up into a competitive spot for this race. And it's great to see him be able to do that in his first race here with us.
Great job for Faster Motorsports there, part of Blackwater and Steve Berry Racing. But right now, Chris, as the clouds come out, Bobby Terrell, I don't think anything's going to rain on his parade as he has increased that lead to 1 second over Tim Bills. Jeff Winter's starting to pull ahead of Ralph Nolan Jr., so that long run starting to come for Jeff Winter. But is there enough time for him to get there to Bobby Terrell? 2 seconds back.
Honestly, looking at the lap times, Jeff's going to need for Bobby to be able to make a couple mistakes. Either that or he needs lap cars to help him out. And right now, looking ahead of him, I don't know that he's going to have that luxury, as Bobby most likely isn't going to come up to any cars racing side by side. If for once, it looks like the track is actually clear in front of our leader.
Yeah, it is. I mean, thanks to that caution, it's really kind of kept this the lap cars from the back of the pack here, so they might catch the lap traffic toward the end of this race. But you look at the lap history chart, Chris, he is gaining on Tim Bills pretty quickly, but then lost time that last lap. Let's see what it is now going across the line. As it updates, yeah, he lost some time again, so, he gained some time, but not nearly enough is what he needs to do, is he's actually losing time to Bobby Terrell.
Yeah, it's one thing to make up time to our second place car of Bills in the 77, but that doesn't mean you're going to catch the number 5 of Bobby Terrell, because at this point, Bobby has been able to maintain his pace. His pace hasn't dropped off near as much as Tim Bills in the 77 or some of the other competitors behind him. So as long as he's able to maintain this pace, I don't see anyone being able to catch him. But, the race isn't over yet.
That last lap, Jeff Winter did gain a 10th on Bobby Terrell, but he's going to have to gain a lot more than a 10th if he's going to come back from 2 seconds back. But we'll see how this thing ends up. But right now, it's Bobby Terrell, Tim Bills, Jeff Winter, your top 3. Ralph Nolan, solid night in 4th place. Wayne Grossi has gotten around Bernard Persson just now to put himself into 5th. He has teammates with that 5 machine. So Wayne Grossi Racing having a good night. Both cars inside the top 5.
Absolutely, and even though you're teammates, at this point you got roughly 12 laps to go, you want to give your teammate the room to get around you, but you're not going to make it easy on them.
Yeah, and Bobby Terrell and Wayne Grossi both on the Wayne Grossi Racing there. So the 5 leading, 7 in 5th, and then right behind them Bernard Persson, part of Speer Motorsports, in 6th place. Richie Coy was actually able to get back around. This has been the battle, Chris. 7th place on to about 15th is where the battle is going on. Richie Coy's finally cleared that group, but Lane Allen's got Ronnie Royal behind him, Dale Nearad, Josh Mayu, and Jason Speer, who we saw come through the field. He's kind of starting to drop back a little bit now. Kevin Rupert, Sher Williford, Brad Patterson, all in this battle. So from 8th to 15th, all under a blanket.
And you just mentioned Kevin Rupert, who we just talked about was involved in an incident just a few laps ago. So at this point, you can see he's gathered it back up, and he's only 12 seconds behind our leader, and actually he might be able to get up and catch Jason to be able to get that 12th position.
This is where our battle is right now on the track. We'll keep an eye on the lead, but there's 8 cars battling for these positions back through here. As you see, Josh Mayu with a power move to go underneath Dale Nearad, and the rookie heading up into the top 10 on debut, and he's going to get it done. Put the 51 in 10th place.
Absolutely a great showing for him. Certainly an underdog coming into this race, but he's not going to leave here as one.
Exactly right. In front of him, his teammate Lane Allen trying to hold off Ronnie Royal. Ronnie Royal looks like he's going to get that pass done. This is great news for Richie Coy, who's checking out from this group now with 9 laps to go.
Absolutely, and looking at it, we have 6 cars right here within a second of each other again, whereas our leader has a second and a half on the second place car. So this group right here is certainly a lot tighter knit group than our leader right now. But it does look like Jeff Winters is starting to catch the 77 car a little bit each lap, but I don't think it's going to be enough to be able to get around him with 8 to go.
We'll definitely keep an eye on that battle on our time and in scoring. It looks like about 0.7 of a second, but right now Ronnie Royal clearing Lane Allen. Josh Mayhew going to get around Lane Allen as well, and Jason Speer trying to do the same to get back into the top 10. Kevin Rupert, we saw him, he got loose there. Sure, Williford, a little contact, unfortunately, but Carr, we got a yellow flag, Chris. It's Rachel Hunt.
This could change everything, Jared.
Oh my goodness, this is not what Bobby Terrell wanted to see. I think everybody else was happy with it, but Bobby Terrell did not want to see this caution. Let's see what happened to the 16 of Rachel Hunt. Looks like the accident's in front of her. That's Casey McMullen, who hits the inside wall and just nowhere to go. Rachel Hunt just gets rear-ended by Tracy Powers. So let's see what we can find out to happen to Case McMullen, who had a very curious incident there. So Casey McMullen looks like he just got loose off turn number 2. Let's see if we can back this thing up just a little bit here.
It actually definitely seems like he got loose and actually went right up into the car on his outside and ended up having to dive into the inside wall there, but was able to keep it off of the wall, it looked like, but definitely some serious damage to that car.
I can't believe nobody hit him, but that was his teammate, Terry Cooper Jr., that he slid up into the track, or there was some contact there with. Rachel Hunt had it avoided, and just when she slammed on the brakes, got a little bit sideways, came right down into the path of Tracy Powers. So a tough break for those drivers, and we got pit stops going on now, Chris.
Oh man, what it will feel like to have new tires with looks like they're going to go green with 3 to go. We'll have a green, white, checkered. This is going to get interesting.
So this will be an actual green, white, checker, but if there's another caution, they will have one attempt at a overtime green, white, checker. So this will be just a normal finish here, but it will end up being a green, white, checker. But there's still one opportunity should we need it. But Bobby Terrell is there in first. Jeff Winter wins the race off pit road with 10 Bills. He's going to go second. Bills third. Ralph Nolan fourth. Wayne Grossi fifth. Bernard Person sixth. Richie Coy, Josh Mayhew, Ronnie Royal, and Matt Geringer into the top 10. But it looks like possibly Geringer sped, and he's dropping back through the field.
Absolutely, looks like that's what happened. Now, here's the thing, Jared. With knowing that you only have 3 laps to go, this is basically a qualifying run. What changes would you make to the car? I know what I would make.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't take any fuel. That would make it pretty good. I would loosen it up as much as I thought I could, and then I would just go for it. And I would just make that car stick. And some of these guys that might have had not so great long run cars, they have an opportunity now. But you look at Jeff Winter. I think he's got to make the opposite adjustment. He's got to make that car super good on the short run, and it's really hard to do that. I think as you make adjustments in pit road, I don't know what he could do with that.
I don't necessarily know that there's many big changes that he can make. I think at this point, the biggest thing you can do is you can pump up your tires a little bit so that way you're a little bit better off. And then maybe add a little bit of tape here, add a little bit of right rear perch offset so that way you can get a little looser coming out of the corners. But at this point, you know what your car feels like. So you don't want to adjust it too much because then you may not even be able to handle it for the 3 laps that we have here and could end up bringing out that extra overtime finish that you were talking about, Jared.
Yeah, and you don't want to brine helmet and put a little bit too much tape on it and then blow it up, because that wouldn't be good either. So it's going to be interesting to see. Right now, looking in front of Bobby Terrell, we got Case McMullen and Chris Beck. So those guys are going to get the wave around, it looks like here.
And at this point, those two cars, they know that they're just hanging on, and so that's what they're expecting to go through here, and just try not to lose any more positions for them.
Exactly right, and they're going to get lined back up here. Well, Chris, you're either a good luck charm or a bad luck omen. I don't know, but this is the first green-white checker, well, unofficial green-white checker of the season. And I got to say, I'm excited, man, but I think we're going to see some wild action here at the end of this thing.
Absolutely. At this point, turn off all your scoring, because at this point, all you need to be able to use is your eyes. You're going to see it all happen right here. These guys are going to do every single thing that they can to make up ground on whoever's in front of them. There's no one in front of them. You're trying to catch the pace car at the end of pit road.
Exactly right. And here we go. 3 laps to go. The GT Performance 250. Bobby Terrell, your leader. Jeff Winter on the outside. Pace car takes the left-hand turn to pit road. And green flag is back out here, and a good start by Jeff Winter, but neither guy on the front row got a great one, Chris. And Ralph Nolan shoving Jeff Winter into turn 1 with Bernard Person on his bumper.
It's certainly going to be a tight battle coming out of 2 here, as Jeff's still able to keep on his nose on the rear bumper of that number 5 car, Bobby, but it's a dead heat going down the back straight.
Going into turn number 3, Bobby Terrell on the inside, Jeff Winter on the outside. Flagman ready to get the 1 lap to go in the hand. The white flag, if the leader takes it, we are official, and it looks like we're going to stay green. So white flag in the air, and Jeff Winter with a power move on the outside. Ralph Nolan shoving him, gets into the wall a little bit into 1.
It's going to be interesting to see. We've seen the upside.
Oh, somebody's in the wall. And more wrecking behind him. Bobby Terrell still trying to hold off Jeff Winter side by side. We'll catch back up to that action here in a minute. Josh Mayu involved. Off the turn. Turn number 4. It's going to be Jeff Winter on the outside. Bobby Terrell on the inside. And it's Jeff Winter.
The car that had the long run speed all race long decides that he's going to make it on a short run. 3 laps, and all it took, he led the most important lap of the entire race, the last one.
Unbelievable finish. Bobby Terrell, heartbreak for the 5. Just like Kyle Larson in the 5 yesterday, it strikes again. I didn't really think about it until just now, but that's an omen you don't want to have. And Jeff Winter is going to win by 0.02 of a second at the line. We'll have to take a replay of that and see exactly how that came about. But my goodness, what a win for Jeff Winter.
It was an absolutely unbelievable finish there. Couldn't have asked for something better for a Monday night finish with these guys. Heartbreak for Bobby, and we actually saw. I feel bad. I posted it on my channel and actually had made comment whether or not the most dominant car would win tonight, and I feel bad. I must have jinxed you, Bobby. I apologize. But congratulations to the Jeff Winter and that 30 bunch. They did an incredible job getting that car to victory lane.
Let's take a look at the last lap. So the white flag is now out on our replay here, and Ralph Nolan Jr. was one of the first drivers that kind of had a little incident happen here. So let's see what happened to him. So Ralph Nolan Jr. he's on the outside, and it looks like Jeff Winter got up. Oh, he just got loose into the wall hard. And at the same time, it looks like some other drivers checked up. Kevin Rupert in there as well. Josh Mayu involved. Try to get some more angles of this, and they're just fighting to get back to the line at this point in time.
And honestly, if you'd have told me coming out of that turn 2 that Jeff Winter was going to be able to be beside the number 5 coming out of the corner, I'd have told you that it was not possible. He went so far up the racetrack, I thought he was loose and was going to end up doing exactly what we saw Nolan do.
Man, and Josh Mayu, hard impact to the inside wall. We're going to back that up just a little bit here because the way the camera was there. He gets a little bit of contact, has it saved, gets into the side of the 03, locks it down, and that is heartbreak for the 51, who had a top 10 run going here in this race, and will come home. Looks like he'll come home 21st tonight. All right, well, we have, I'm going to catch my breath. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to hear from our top 3 competitors, recap tonight's events, and look forward to next week's race on the dirt at Bristol.
The number 28 car was able to bring it home in 11th. 12th was going to be Lane Allen. Great run for him tonight. Ralph Nolan Jr., even though he had the incident right there on lap 1, or sorry, the final lap, not lap 1, was able to bring it home in 13th. 14th, Kevin Rupert, who had trouble also during that run. 15th was Troy Jorgensen, who we talked about several times tonight, making up 26 positions. Wow. Um, for him, the 16th car, Matthew Geringer. James Torrey brings it home 17th. Chad Lang and 18th, 19th are points leader up into this race. Coming into it, Terry Cooper Jr. and Casey McMullen with a rocky night tonight brings it home 20th.
into the back of the field here. So as we return here to Atlanta Motor Speedway, let's take a look at our championship standings here, Chris, and it's kind of shaken up just a little bit here. Bobby Terrell, our point leader, 3 points over Terry Cooper Jr. Case Mullen stays in third, or drops to third, apologies. Ronnie Royal fourth. Jason Speer moves up into fifth. And Dean Doucette, who joined us in the booth for a little bit, drops 6 positions unofficially to 10th place.
Wow, it certainly was a heartbreak for some, and for others, it was a good points night. He didn't bring home the win tonight, but Bobby Terrell and the number 5 does take over the points championship. That's not something to be unhappy about, especially with such a tight knit group of guys.
Yeah, it's been a long night for us here in the broadcast booth, but we have the pleasure of having our third place finisher down on pit road. Chris, I believe you're standing by with Tim Bills.
Tim, it definitely looks like you had a great night for this race. It looks like you were a little bit more of a short run car tonight. Take us through your race. How was it? How did it go?
Man, I'm pumped. I'm excited with this finish. I wasn't sure how it was going to be going into it after practice, and the car was good. Yeah, like you said, on the short run, I think that I really was really strong on the short run, and then it just kind of got a little tight on the long run when it was going into the corners. Just didn't seem to want to turn soon enough. So just really it was rough on landing. So but we'll take third place. You know, that was a heck of a finish, heck of a battle there, and we'll try for better next week.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you could have done to potentially end up in that P1 position tonight?
Well, you know, I think maybe if I tried to go, could have made it 3 wide there and pushed everybody up, but you know, then there was a chance of just wiping out the whole field, and I didn't want to take that chance after running so good all race and everybody else running, and didn't want to ruin it for the whole field.
I can certainly understand that. Not a bad points night for you. You'll be able to bring home a definite substantial amount of points there for you. Is there anyone you'd like to thank? Sponsors, family, friends, anyone that helps you get to the track each week?
Yeah, sure. I want to thank my sponsors, H&H Sign Supply and JustForCrafters.com. And I got to give a shout out to Russell Charneski. He's kind of laid up, not feeling real well, so I want to tell him we're thinking about him, and hope to see him back on the track soon.
Yeah, definitely a shout out to Russell Chernesky from all of us here at Full Throttle Sim Racing and Full Throttle TV. Hope to see you back out on the track, bud, very soon. And Chris, that was our third place finisher, Tim Bills, and I am down here on pit road with a mixed feeling. Bobby Terrell. Bobby, what a race you had, but kind of like the 5 car yesterday in the Cup race. You dominated, but you came up just a whisker short.
Yeah, I'm dejected. That's for sure. It's just too hard to win these races, and yeah, well, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a great finish from our perspective, but to lose a race on the last lap like that is always kind of the worst way to do it. But you know, your race overall, I mean, it looked like you had the best or second best long run car all night long. You took over the lead pretty early in the race from Brian Helm, and you pretty much set sail from then on, leading 110 laps tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I knew Jeff. I noticed he was gaining a little time, maybe at the end of the runs a little bit. So I made a little adjustment that last stop, I think, or stop before that. But anyhow, I was a little better that last run, so I felt pretty good about it. And like I said, if the caution hadn't come out, I mean, I was pulling away. So, but that's just the way it goes. I mean, I'm happy. I mean, you know, I led some laps, just keep chipping away at it.
Yeah, I mean, you led more than a few laps. You dominated today's race. You grab the point lead unofficially coming out of this race. And, you know, Bobby, I hate to bring it up, but you won the truck race and you won the Xfinity race. You had the opportunity for the sweep. Was that in your head at all tonight?
No, because I really didn't think that it was possible in this Cup car. Uh, not. I don't know. I don't drive it as good as the Xfinity car, but my teammates brought a good set tonight. He got fourth. I mean, we came race ready, so we just finished, like you said, a little bit short.
And just by a whisker. Well, Bobby, you take over the points lead. We're going to head into Bristol Dirt next week. A massive unknown, especially in a Cup car. What are you looking forward to that event? How do you feel going into it, especially now that you have the points lead?
I hadn't even driven it yet, so I really don't know what to think about it. I've done a little bit of dirt, but hopefully my motocross background will come in handy and I can pull something off.
Well, Bobby, congratulations on your second place finish. I'm going to turn the floor over to you and let you have the last word, bud.
Oh, I'd like to thank Full Throttle Sim Racing League, all the admins, you guys up in the booth, for the job y'all do. Darkmatter Designs for sponsoring this. I mean, if it wasn't for them, we probably couldn't have this. So, really appreciate them sponsoring the series. My teammates, can't say enough. I mean, every week they bring a setup that's just I love to drive. So, a shout out to them. Shout out to Wayne for coming in fourth, and shout out to Tim and Jeff and all the other drivers for racing us clean.
All right, Chris, that is a dejected but happy Bobby Terrell on his second place finish. But I think you're down there in victory lane with the first time winner, first career victory for Jeff Winter. Chris, I think you're down there in victory lane with him.
I have certainly caught up with Jeff, our winner here. Jeff, I got to tell you that last few laps were incredible to watch up in the booth. Take us through what took you from second to first to actually seal the victory here tonight.
Well, I got to give all the credit to Bobby. I don't think I've ever run 2 laps that close side by side, not putting the fence. So he did an awesome job of keeping his line and maintaining it, and not wrecking us all. So all the credit goes to him. He deserved to win. If that last caution hadn't come out, me and Tim didn't have nothing for him. So that was too bad for him. But it was awesome. I got through 1 and 2 okay, and then through 3 and 4, I just mad at it and tried to grab the seam, and sure enough it stuck and come off. I was I could see I was about half a car ahead of them, and I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, it was awesome.
It was certainly a fantastic finish for you. Now, one thing that we noticed all throughout the race is that you had pretty much the best long run car out there. What changes did you make on that final pit stop to be able to be competitive with Bobby and Tim, who seemed to be able to edge you out a little bit on the short run?
Well, part of that was my strategy. Obviously, I did try to go as hard as I could at the start of the race, because that's if we get these long runs, that's where my bread and butter is. But on that last run, to be honest with you, I actually didn't make any adjustments. But with the car pretty much full of gas and new tires, it tightened it up just a little bit, and that's about all I needed.
Well, you certainly did it tonight, and certainly an impressive run. Definitely didn't think that it was going to happen from my end, but I'm glad to be proven wrong. Jeff, is there anyone that you like to thank, sponsors, anyone back home that really helps you be able to get here tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank my buddy Jeff Chandler. He probably would have been tough to beat tonight. He's working, so he misses every other week. But all throughout the week last week, he helped me with lines and approach and attacking, and and runs a lot of laps, and he's so competitive. If you can get up there and run with him, then you're in pretty good shape, and so that really helped me this week.
Well, I think there's about 40 other drivers that actually would say the same about you right now. We're moving on to Bristol next week in the dirt. First off, have you even been on the track yet?
I have not, and so I don't know how much time I'm going to spend practicing for that one, because it might be a total cluster. But who knows? I try to go have fun. Last week at Phoenix was terrible. But anyway, like I say, we'll just see how it goes.
Well, absolutely. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Congratulations on a big night tonight. We look forward to seeing you at Bristol, however it ends up for you.
Thanks, FTSR. Y'all do a great job.
All right, Chris, that was our winner tonight, Jeff Winter, shouting out his teammate there, Jeff Chandler. And we looked at the replay as he was talking there. I mean, it was to the doors. And Bobby Terrell, as you said, just a very very hard fought race, but just comes up a little short, just like the number 5 did yesterday, ironically enough. And Chris, you didn't think the Jeff was going to get it done. It looked like that Bobby Terrell had this thing locked in, but one caution is all it took.
It's certainly all it took, and the one surprising thing here is that we knew the outside lane was be able to get off the corner a little bit better. But honestly, I didn't see that it working on Bobby because he was so much faster on the short runs on that bottom groove. But you know, it happens. It's something I wouldn't have expected. I mean, clearly, none of us watching would have expected. But it's what happened here tonight. Looking ahead to Bristol, it's just in the 3 drivers we talked about, none of them have practiced for that track. That is going to make that even that more difficult. As we talked with Dean earlier tonight, he said that some guys are putting in 12, 14, 16 hours of practice to get ready for the next week. That means that a lot of people are going to be racing Bristol from now until next Monday.
You're exactly right. And Chris, we're going to get our first opportunity to see how these guys will perform on the dirt, the Bristol dirt, Wednesday night. Dean Doucette and Brad Patterson going to be in the call on Wednesday night for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Blackwater Products Truck Series live from Bristol Dirt. So we'll get to see everything that's going to happen there. And then we will be back on Thursday night for some more IndyCar racing. Those guys going to be heading to Watkins Glen, the Elite Sim Racing Association, live there as their season coming to a close with just 3 races to go. You don't want to miss any of that. But for my partner, Chris Speer, I'm Jared Carr. We will see you guys out on the track.